Chapter 2, Section 9, Solving Inequalities with Addition or Subtraction. First of all, I'd like to start with a review of just solving simple equations. So would you take a moment and solve these 5 problems? Okay, so for number 1, remember we do the opposite of what they're doing. So because they're adding 5, we're going to subtract 5. But to keep our equation balanced, we subtract 5 from both sides. Those zero out, and we get m. We don't need to, on the right side, remember, do we need to change the sign? The 2 things we look for, is there a negative other than the subtraction sign? No. And is the first number smaller than the second? No to both questions, so we'll just subtract like normal, and we get m is equal to 12. Number 2, k minus 8 equals 11. They're subtracting 8, so we do, whatever we do to both sides, so we add 8 to both sides. A minus 8 and a plus 8 zero out. 11 plus 8 is 19. 12 plus h equals 11 for number 3. We look at what's in front of the number, not what's behind it, since it's a positive 12. Whoops, I forgot my 19 over there. Sorry, number 2. So for number 3, we're going to subtract 12 from both sides. That'll zero out. And we're subtracting, so need to check. Is there a negative? No. Is the first number smaller than the second? Yes, it is. 11 is smaller than 12, so we should change the sign and we'll get a negative 1. Number 4, 6 equals n minus 23. They're subtracting 23, so we'll add 23 to both sides, keeping our equation balanced. Those zero out. 6 plus 23 is 29. Previously we talked about graphing. This says x is greater than negative 7. Since it's, we'll find negative 7, and since it's greater than with no or equal to, that means an open circle. And I'm looking for numbers bigger than negative 7. So that would be going to the right are the numbers that are bigger than negative 7. So that's a quick review of the concepts we're going to need for today. So let's get into it. Number 1, solve the inequality and graph the solution. So we have n plus 8 is greater than or equal to 19. We treat this, for the most part, just like we would an equation. They're adding 8, so we're going to subtract 8 from both sides. Plus 8 and minus 8, zero out. This is subtraction, so we need to check. Is there a negative? No. Is the first number smaller than the second? No. So we can do 19 minus 8, and we get n is greater than or equal to 11. That means it's going to be a closed circle, since it's greater than or equal to at 11. I'm looking for numbers bigger than that. Remember, my other hint is which way is the inequality pointing when the variable is in front? So it would go to the right. Number 2, n minus 15 is less than 3. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. They're subtracting 15. So we're going to add 15 to both sides. Those zero out. I get my n, and it's less than 18. My variable is all by itself, so that tells me it's done. I'm going to find 18 on my number line. I'm looking for less than. That has one part, so that means an open circle. And I'm looking for numbers smaller than that. They're smaller to the right, or sorry, to the left. Write an inequality for each sentence, then solve the inequality. 13 plus a number n is greater than 15. So I've got 13 plus a number greater than 15. Now I need to solve it. Subtract 15 from both sides. Those zero out. I need to check. Do I need to change the sign? No negatives. 15 is bigger, so nope, I don't need to change the sign. I'll get n greater than 2. Number 5. 11 subtracted from a number p is less than negative 12. How do you think you would write this? Now this one's kind of a trick because you see the 11 in front, but it says subtracted from a number. So we're taking 11 from something, so that means b minus 11. Less than negative 12. Whatever we do to one side, we need to do to the other. There's my variable. It's being subtracted by 11, so we're going to add 11 to both sides. Those zero out. I'm adding a positive and a negative. They cancel each other out or kill each other off, and we're left with b is less than negative 1. Would you try number 4, please? Okay, the sum. Sum means adding. So I have w plus 3 less than or equal to. So I need a less than points to the left with half an equal sign. 10. They're adding 3, so we'll subtract 3 from both sides. That zeroes out, and we get w less than or equal to 7. You must be at least 48 inches tall to ride an amusement park ride, and your little sister is 39 inches tall. How many inches, which will show as I, must she grow before she may ride the ride? Well, that's how tall she is. We want to know how much does she have to grow. So we're adding to her height. And she has to be at least 48 inches, so greater than or equal to 48. There's my variable. I'll subtract 39 from both sides. That zeroes out, and I get I is greater than or equal to 9. So she needs to grow at least 9 inches, then she can ride. Number 7. Would you please try to solve this and graph it? Line down the middle. They're adding 7 to x, so we'll subtract 7 from x. And we get x is greater than or equal to 2. So we'll find 2 on our number line. And we want numbers bigger than that. That would be going to the right. Would you try this one, please? Keeping our equation balanced, we'll subtract 12 from both sides. Change that to a negative 12. Close circle at negative 12, going to the left because we want less than. Number 9. Would you try this one, please? Pause the video, and then come back when you're finished. Hopefully you're ready to go. That's what I'm trying to get by itself. I'm trying to isolate it. So we'll subtract 13 from both sides. Those zero out. 13 minus 13 could change the signs, but it just comes out to 0. So I want a closed circle at 0. I want it greater than, so I want it to go to the right. Would you try this one, please? Subtract 4 from both sides. Those zero out. It's subtraction. Do we need to change the sign? Yes. There's a negative in the problem, and negative 2 is smaller than 4. So we have negative 2 plus a negative 4. So since they're both negative, we can add them together, and we get x is less than negative 6. And that's the end. This is the homework that you can get started on if you need to.